Today we will consider verses 3 and 4 of the Dhammapada. Verse 3 reads, "He insulted me, hit me, beat me, robbed me. For those who brood on this, hostility or hatred is instilled." This is Tanisaru Bhikku's translation that I'm using. Gil Fronsdale says hatred. For those who don't brood on this, hatred is stilled. This verse challenges every society's notion of what should be done when one is wronged in some way. Notice what this verse does not say. It doesn't call for retaliation in any way. It doesn't say to be positive. It doesn't prescribe any punishment at all for the wrongdoers, and doesn't ask you to forgive them. The Buddha was not interested in any of these things, per se. He was interested in your mind's reaction. He didn't enter into discussions of social discipline, criminal justice, etc. He always focused on your mind's response to a given happening. You could say that he was eminently practical. He always keeps the locus of control with you. You can't control others. Rather, you can only control your mind's reaction to them. This is a hard teaching for us. Byron Katie popularized this idea in her best-selling book, Loving What Is, which I recommend. However, it was well known with psychologists since at least the 60s, but regular people like us, well, we never caught up. So what's the Buddha exactly telling us to do, and why? He's pointing out the obvious, actually, that you cannot control what happens to you. Number 2, your mind's reaction is the most important factor in determining your and society's happiness now and in the future. And 3, obviously, hostility just leads to more hostility. It's a never-ending cycle, and this is clear from history. You can study any society, any civilization, and it just goes in circles, the hatred. So the difficulty of this teaching, you must not react. Sure, you can call the police and press charges if any laws were broken, but again, he's not concerned with social institutions, since they changed throughout time and place. In fact, in his time, there was no such thing as the police and courts. Most importantly, it's precisely our spinning, brooding, thinking about what happened to us that is the crux of the problem. But we naturally always think the opposite way. We think about what was done to us, how often we carry around these grievances for years and decades. In this case, hostility, anger, and hatred will continue as long as we continue to think about it. You don't get to complain and tell everyone what a terrible thing happened to you. Plan a revenge. There's no eye for an eye here. In fact, what happened is not really the problem. The Buddha places the crux of the responsibility on you, not on what somebody did to you. This requires a foundation in mindfulness, and this gets us back to verse 1 and 2, in which your mind is totally responsible for your experience. This is a hard teaching. This is not easy, and very few of us can do this. Because it comes back to our mind, not what happened to us. So my Zen teacher Joko Beck always said that we must practice now when things are easy if we have any hope of getting through the storms of life. Because in the middle of the storm, your practice is gone. This is not some verse just to peruse over like you're reading a tweet. I'd even say this is one of the hardest verses of the Dhammapada to fully grasp, and by grasp I mean to internalize it. I haven't done so yet, and I'm not sure I have met anybody who has. Good luck.